Dear friends, Shana Tova, Shabbat Shalom. 2 years ago on Yom Kippur, I gave a sermon in anticipation of the wedding of our daughter Ilana to her and our beloved Greg. In that sermon, I shared a letter to Ilana, and I included with the words, "Ilana, I promise that I won't make you the centerpiece of another public letter on the high holidays, for a while at least. I'll save the next one for our grandchildren. No pressure. Love, Dad." Well, I'm nothing if not a man of my word. So this morning, I present to you this letter to our first grandson. My dear Ezra Ray, during the 9 months prior to your birth, your grandma Sue and I were so excited. All of our friends who were grandparents told us how amazing it was going to be. You can't understand it until you experienced it, they would say. It's the best club in the world. And you know, they were right. Ezzy, the love that we feel for you is overwhelming. We felt the same way when your mother and Uncle Ethan were born. And yet it's not the same because we are not the same. You see, there's a difference between imagining and experiencing something firsthand. It reminds me of the story of the man who commissioned a brand new sidewalk in front of his house. As it was curing, he put up a large sign that said, "No kids or dogs on the sidewalk." He sat on his front porch to watch and keep guard, and sure enough, a group of children approached the sidewalk and were about to draw in the wet cement. When the man saw them, he started to scream, "Get away from there, you little monsters!" And one of the mothers ran up to the man and to confront her, to comfort her upset child, and said, "Sir, you don't have to scare them like that. Don't you like children?" And he replied, "Madam, I like children very much, but in the abstract, not the concrete." Thank you. I'll be here all week. Ezzy, not everyone wants or can be a parent. Even fewer are given the opportunity to become a grandparent. I understand this. And when I was writing these words to you, I struggled with how deep I should go. I knew that there might be some here this morning for whom my words could be painful, especially for those who are unable to have or are estranged from children or grandchildren. It's also important for you to know, Ezzy, that there are multiple ways to raise the next generation. There are loving and caring adoptive step and honorary moms, dads, and grandparents. Teachers, mentors, coaches, and counselors all play a huge role in supporting and nurturing our kids. And the love that they bring is just as beautiful, life-affirming, and monumental as what we feel for you. So for those who may feel a sense of loss, know that I see you, we feel you, and we understand your pain, and we are here for you. Now, Ezzy, I need you to know that becoming a grandfather, Saba, as I hope you'll call me, has impacted me profoundly. I'm a different person today because of you, and for that I am eternally grateful. Truth be told, Ezzy, we all have key moments in our lives that help to put everything into perspective. When we stand under the chuppah with our beloved life partner, when we graduate from college or change careers, when we lose a loved one, when we receive exciting news, when our doctor gives us the diagnosis that confirms our worst fears, and when world events shake our souls with joy, wonder, horror, or concern. All these and many other moments change us and cause us to see ourselves and our world in a new light. And they also have the potential to teach important lessons. You, Ezzy, have taught us so much in the 9 weeks since you've been born. So today, on this first day of a new year, I want to share 3 of the lessons that I have learned from you. And the first lesson is we are not in control. When you were born, Ezzy, many people reached out to us with love, joy, presence, and advice. And one gift we received from dear friends was the book Nanaville by Anna Quinlan. This short memoir that I recommend highly teaches many important lessons. And the number one lesson it imparts is that grandparents must allow their children to take the lead in raising their offspring. The only time to offer advice is when we are asked, and even when we think we may know that we could do things better, we need to keep our opinions to ourselves and our mouths shut. I know this firsthand, Ezzy. I've been told quite clearly by your mom and dad that I must limit the number of pictures that I post on social media and that I'm not allowed to post them without their permission. And this is a hard pill for me to swallow. And your parents are absolutely correct. But sometimes it's more complicated than that. As clergy, my colleagues and I often meet with congregants who are dealing with painful situations. And some of the most gut-wrenching conversations I have had over the years have been with grandparents who are prevented from seeing their children and grandchildren. Sometimes it's clear why they're kept away. Other times it's harder to understand. Families are complicated, Ezzy. Grudges and feuds can be destructive. The pain and frustration that all sides feel can be overwhelming. But it isn't always that extreme. I recently was asked to join a Facebook group for Jewish grandparents. I thought it would be fun. It would be an opportunity to share photos, joys, and Shep Nachas, which means shared joy. But I soon realized that along with cute pictures and advice on the best place to take little ones for ice cream, there were lots of posts from people who were frustrated, angry, and hurt that their children would not listen to them or allow them to see their precious grandchildren as much as they wanted. There was a lot of, why won't my children listen to me? They have no idea what they're doing. I did a good job of raising them. Why do I deserve this? I didn't join the group. Now, while I'm sure that the pain and frustration that these grandparents are sharing is real, the truth is, what most of them are experiencing is the vital process of their children setting boundaries with and for them. There's a saying that every grandparent knows. Becoming a grandparent is the reward for being a parent because we get to spoil our grandchildren and then give them back. And I'm sure that this is true. But the flip side of this, however, it is that our job to love and support their parents on their terms, not ours. As fun as it is to see our children dealing with the same frustrations we dealt when we were young, we aren't calling the shots anymore. And the concept that we're not in control is also one of the central themes of these Yamim Noraim, these high holy days. Each year we stand before God, confess our sins and shortcomings, and greet each other with the words, L'shana tova tikatevu. May you have a good year and be inscribed for blessing in the book of life. But if you think about it, that's an intense greeting. It means, may we live another year. And as much as we want to control our fate, Ezzy, and those of whom we love, we cannot. The words of the Unatana Tokef that we heard so stirringly sung, who shall live and who shall die, are both problematic and powerful. We don't know what the future will bring, but we work, hope, and pray for the best. And in light of all this uncertainty, our task is to strive to be a blessing to ourselves and our loved ones. And this brings me to my second lesson that I've learned from you, Ezzy. Savor every moment. Ezzy, you and your parents live so far away.
There's an over-under bet in the clergy, but I'm going to cry.
The truth is, we're not moving to New York, where you live, and your parents probably aren't moving here to Denver anytime soon. And as such, your Grandma Sue and I relish every moment we get to share with you and your parents. And we've been very fortunate over the past 2 months to spend so much time together. When you were first born last month at a family wedding here in Minneapolis, and now you're with us here for Rosh HaShanah. But it's not enough. It's never enough. We will always want more. During your first week of life, Sue and I took turns every other night rocking you in your nursery so your parents could get some rest. And we didn't sleep much, but we didn't care. I never tired of gazing at your beautiful face. I loved every second, even the nonstop crying and the dirty diapers. Every moment was and is a gift. And in the Torah portion we heard chanted so hauntingly beautifully this morning, the Akedah, the binding of Isaac, we read the following text from Genesis 22, verses 1 through 4. Sometime afterward, God put Abraham to the test, saying to him, Abraham, and he answered, Hineni, here I am. Take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will point out to you. So early next morning, Abraham saddled his ass, took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. He split the wood for the burnt offering, set out for the place that God had told him. And on the third day, Abraham looked up and saw the place from afar. There's a lot going on in this text. But this morning, I'm thinking about how the passage of time shifts during our narrative. The wording is sparse, emotionless. 3 days go by in a flash. But later, everything shifts. In verses 9 through 11, the description of Abraham's thwarted attempt to carry God's horrific command seems to take place in slow motion. They arrived at the place of which God had told him. Abraham built an altar there. He laid out the wood. He bound his son Isaac. He laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Abraham picked up the knife to slay his son, and then, at the last possible moment, a messenger of God called out to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. And he answered, Hineni, here I am. There will be moments in your life, Ezzy, where everything seems to be happening too quickly. And at other times, each second will seem like an eternity. And I'm realizing that the older I get, the faster time passes. And this is going to sound cliche, but it doesn't seem all that long ago that we were holding your mom and then your Uncle Ethan, sleep deprived, and rocking them to sleep. The key word in our Torah portion, Ezzy, is Abraham's response to God's call. Hineni, here I am. Ezzy, as you grow, I pray that you will allow yourself to be fully present. To appreciate the beauty, the love, the successes, and even the mistakes you make. And you will have plenty of both, I promise. Time is precious, my beloved grandson. Savor every moment and answer the call with Hineni. Here I am. And finally, the third and perhaps the most important lesson I want to leave with you is leave a legacy. Leave a legacy. Now, it may seem strange to talk to a 9-week-old baby about leaving a legacy. But you see, Ezzy, you are already part of multiple legacies, as your parents shared so beautifully at your Brit Milah ceremony. Your middle name, Ray, or Raviv in Hebrew, is honor of 2 powerful women of blessed memory, Riva Rosenblum and Rachel, or Ray Gleitman. Now, Reva was your mother's grandmother. She was a community leader in Minneapolis and a past president of the Minneapolis Jewish Federation. She had a passion for tzedakah, beauty, and the Jewish people. Your other namesake, Bubby Ray, your father's grandmother, was a survivor of the Holocaust, who, despite the horrors she experienced, looked at the world with joy and passion, and she shared it with everyone she met. You have inherited a powerful legacy of caring, perseverance, service, and love that will remain with you throughout your life. Now, returning to our Torah portion, commentators throughout the ages have struggled with multiple aspects of our narrative. Abraham is faced with a quandary. The same God who just a few chapters earlier had told him that his ancestors would be as numerous as the sand of the sea and the stars in the sky has told him to sacrifice his beloved son Isaac. And Abraham experiences an existential crisis. If he wants to preserve his legacy, he must disobey God. And if he carries out God's brutal command, then God was lying about his legacy. Either outcome is unacceptable. As we know, Abraham in the end was stopped from carrying out this horrible deed, and yet his dilemma represents, in the most basic and primal form, the eternal fear that our legacy will not live beyond the current generation. We have so many hopes for you. We want you to live a long, joyous, and healthy life. We want you to become a good Jew, a good person, kind, caring, and creative. We want you to study Torah, share in Shabbat, give back to our people. We want you to love music and the arts, to play the guitar. You have no choice. To explore the mountains and to learn to ski. We want you to have a sense of humor. We want you to go to summer camp, travel to Israel and around the world, and most of all, be a mensch. And knowing your parents, you will be. Ezzy, I look at you and I marvel at how much love you inspire in me and everyone who meets you. I'm also reminded that you represent your grandparents' personal legacies. Long after we are gone, you will be carrying forth our genes, our values, and our history. But there are other kinds of legacies. It's a 3 Kleenex sermon. You don't need to be a parent or a grandparent to make a difference. There are teachers, artists, mentors, philanthropists, scientists, healers, and thinkers who change the world through their love, their caring, generosity, and brilliance. And as our president, Wendy Neckrit, shared in her remarks earlier this evening, this year marks our congregation, Temple Emanuel's 150th anniversary. For the next 12 months, our holy community will be lifting up the heritage and harmony that has defined our spiritual home. We will not only be celebrating, we also will be learning, sharing our history, envisioning the future, traveling together, performing acts of service, and embarking on an aspirational and life-changing fundraising campaign that will help ensure our congregation's legacy as we begin the next exciting chapter of Temple Emanuel's history. This historic milestone is also a watershed moment, a challenge, if you will. Can our community step up, raise these essential funds, and commit to ensuring that the generations to come will be able to share in what we are building and enjoying today? I believe that we can, that we will, because we must. We owe it to the generations to come to give them that legacy. Ezzy, we can't wait to watch you grow and see your already strong personality continue to develop. The love we feel for you is immeasurable. And although you're only 9 weeks old, you've already taught us so much. You've shown me that even though I'm not in control, I will savor every moment that I can and work to create a legacy for you and all who will come after you. And I promise that your grandma and I, your uncles, aunts, cousins, and parents will always be there for you. Oh, And I also promise that the next letter I share publicly won't be until your bar mitzvah. L'shana tova, Shabbat shalom. Love, Saba.